The night was silent. Only the sound of broken leaves under his boots filled the air as the human walked slowly through the forest. The sky was dark, clouds covering the pale moons above, and the cold wind made him pull his jacket tighter around his body. He had survived battles before. He had faced alien soldiers and wild beasts. But tonight, something felt different. His instincts screamed that he was not alone. Every shadow seemed alive. Every branch looked like it was moving. He held his weapon close, ready for danger. A low growl echoed from behind a tree. He stopped, his breath caught in his throat. His eyes searched the darkness, and slowly, a figure stepped out. It was not a soldier, not a machine, but a creature. Four-legged, powerful, its body glowing faintly under the moonlight. It looked like a wolf, but larger, stronger, and its eyes were filled with intelligence. The human lifted his weapon, but then froze, because the creature did something no beast should do. It spoke. "You." The voice was strange yet clear, like broken echoes mixing with human speech. "You are the father of my puppies." The human almost dropped his weapon. His mind refused to believe the words he had just heard. His heart pounded, and for a moment he thought maybe he had lost his sanity in this alien world. "What?" he whispered, shaking his head. "That's impossible." The alien canine stepped closer, its paws soft on the ground, its golden eyes never leaving him. Its fur bristled with energy, and when it spoke again, its voice was stronger. "You are the father of my puppies. They carry your blood." He stumbled back, confusion and fear mixing together. He had never been with this creature, never even imagined such a thing. He tried to laugh, tried to push away the fear with denial. "You've got the wrong human," he said, but the creature only tilted its head, watching him with a calmness that was more terrifying than rage. Behind him, the forest whispered. The human turned quickly, his weapon shaking in his hands. Shadows moved, and more figures appeared. 2, 3, 4 other canines, all larger than him, glowing eyes watching silently. They circled him slowly, as if testing his reaction, ready to leap if he made the wrong move. The human's throat went dry. He was surrounded. The first canine, the one who spoke, stepped closer until her breath touched his face. She lowered her head and pressed her nose to his chest. At that moment, a strange warmth spread through his body. On his chest, under his shirt, something glowed faintly. He quickly pulled at the fabric, eyes widening in disbelief. A mark, shining with pale blue light, appeared on his skin, pulsing like a heartbeat. The mark was not natural. It was alive. His mouth opened, but no words came. He stared at the glowing mark, then back at the creature. She looked almost gentle now, as if she had proven something beyond argument. "The bond cannot lie," she said. "Our future is inside you." Fear tightened his chest. He wanted to run, but he knew the other canines would rip him apart if he tried. His mind raced for explanations. Maybe it was a trick, some alien technology, a trap to control him. But the mark felt warm, real, alive, like it belonged to him. And the more he stared, the more he felt something deep inside, a connection he had never wanted but could not deny. "You're insane," he whispered, his voice shaking. "This is not possible. I'm human. You're not even." His words broke when the creature growled softly, not in anger, but in warning. The other canines closed the circle tighter, their golden eyes glowing brighter. The human tightened his grip on his weapon, though he knew it was useless. He could fire one shot, maybe 2, but he would never survive all of them. His breath grew heavier, misting in the cold night air. Every instinct screamed at him to fight, to run, to survive, but another feeling pushed into his heart. A strange pull, soft yet powerful, told him the creature was not lying. He wanted to deny it, but the glowing mark on his chest made denial impossible. "What do you want from me?" he asked finally, his voice low, almost a plea. The creature's ears flicked back, her eyes narrowing, as if she carried a burden too heavy for words. "Come," she said. "You must see them. Only then will you believe." The human's knees felt weak. Them? She wanted him to see something, someone. His heart beat faster with every second. He didn't know if he would be led into a trap, torn apart, or shown some truth beyond reason. Every step he took into that forest would take him deeper into danger, deeper into madness. But the circle of canines left him no choice. Slowly, the leader turned, walking deeper into the trees, her glowing fur lighting the path. The others waited, their eyes fixed on him, forcing him forward. He had no way out. With trembling hands, he lowered his weapon slightly but kept it ready. His boots sank into the cold earth as he followed, every muscle tense, every nerve screaming. The forest swallowed him, the path dark and silent except for the soft steps of the creatures around him. The night felt endless. Every sound made him flinch, every breath tasted of fear. He wanted to shout, to demand answers, but his throat was dry. Then ahead, he saw a faint glow. Not the moon, not the stars, but something warmer, softer. The leader canine stopped and looked back at him. "Prepare yourself, human," she said, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. "What you see will change everything." He swallowed hard, his chest still glowing faintly. His mind screamed it was a dream, a nightmare, a hallucination. But his heart beat with the strange warmth of the mark, dragging him forward step by step. His life, his sanity, and maybe the future of something greater waited in that glow ahead. The human followed with heavy steps, his eyes darting left and right, always searching for a way out. But there was none. The alien canines moved with silent grace, their paws pressing the earth without sound. Every time he slowed, one of them growled low, reminding him he was not free to choose his path. The glowing mark on his chest still burned faintly, pulsing like it had a life of its own. He tried to rub it away, tried to convince himself it was nothing but some strange alien trick, but the warmth stayed. At last, the leader canine stopped near a clearing where the moonlight spilled down through broken branches. She turned and faced him, her golden eyes shining with calm certainty. "You are still in denial," she said, "but you cannot run from truth." The human clenched his jaw and raised his weapon. "Stop saying that," he snapped, his voice cracked with fear and anger. "I don't know what you are talking about. I am not the father of anything. I am not part of your world. I don't belong here." The canine tilted her head, unbothered by his anger. Then, slowly, she stepped closer until she was only a few feet away. She lifted her paw and pressed it gently against his chest, where the mark glowed. The human tried to push her back, but the warmth spread through him again, stronger this time. The mark flared with blue light, so bright he had to squint. The other canines growled in approval, their eyes glowing brighter too, as if the mark had spoken for him. "No," he whispered, his hand trembling as he touched his own chest. "This is not real. You're using some kind of technology. Maybe it's a trick. Maybe." The canine's deep voice cut him off. "The bond is older than technology. It cannot be created. It cannot be faked. It is life. It is blood." His heart raced. Sweat slid down his temple despite the cold air. He took a step back, shaking his head again and again, as if refusing would make the truth vanish. "You're wrong. I never touched you. I never did anything like that. This is impossible." From the shadows, another canine moved forward, larger than the rest, scars running across its muzzle. Its growl was deeper, sharper, like a warning. The leader barked once, and the big one stopped, but the human understood the meaning. They would not let him walk away. He lifted his weapon again, though his arms shook badly. "Stay back. I don't care what you believe. I don't care what you think I am. I am not your." His voice faltered when the leader suddenly closed the distance. Her eyes locked with his, and for a moment, his mind was not in the forest anymore. He saw flashes, blinding images that struck his thoughts like lightning. He saw tiny glowing creatures, puppies, crawling in the dark, their eyes bright with the same golden fire. He saw them crying, searching, and when he reached out, they rushed to him, clinging to his hands. The vision burned into his soul, leaving him gasping for breath. He staggered back, almost dropping his weapon. His knees threatened to buckle. What did you just do?" His voice shook like he had been pulled into a dream. "I showed you truth," the canine said. "They are waiting for you. They know you. They call for you." His hands trembled violently. He wanted to scream that it was a lie, that nothing could tie him to alien creatures, that he was human, and humans did not belong here. But the vision felt real, too real. He could still feel their small bodies pressed against his hands, their warmth soaking into his skin. "No," he said again, but the word had no strength now. The leader turned slightly, her eyes flicking to the others. The pack closed the circle tighter around him, their growls rising like thunder. The message was clear. There was no escape. His denial meant nothing to them. The human's chest rose and fell quickly, each breath louder than the last. He tried to calm himself, to think logically. Maybe if he pretended to agree, they would let him go. Maybe if he waited for the right moment, he could escape. He forced his voice steady. Fine, show me. Take me to them. If I see them, maybe I'll believe. The leader's golden eyes narrowed, as if she read his thoughts, as if she knew his heart was still trying to escape. Yet she nodded once, satisfied with his words. You will see. And when you see, you will no longer deny. The human swallowed hard, fear tightening his throat. Every step he took now felt heavier, as if chains had wrapped around his ankles. The mark on his chest burned hotter, as if responding to the decision he had made. He felt like he was walking deeper into a nightmare he could not wake from. The pack moved again, guiding him toward the cave hidden in the forest. Their glowing eyes lit the path, and the silence between their growls felt heavier than the growls themselves. The human kept his weapon close, but for the first time, he wondered if even the weapon mattered anymore. Something greater than bullets and steel had already trapped him. Something inside his own body, his own blood, was against him. He clenched his fists and whispered to himself, "This isn't real. This can't be real. I'll find a way out." But deep inside, he felt the truth pressing against him like a storm. The leader glanced back at him once more, her golden eyes steady and sure. "You may deny with your mouth," she said, her voice soft but sharp as a blade, "but your blood does not lie. Your blood knows them, and soon you will too." The human froze, unable to answer. The forest around him grew darker, colder, and more silent. His heart hammered like a drum of war. He knew he was walking towards something that would change him forever, whether he wanted it or not. The cave was dark from the outside, hidden behind rocks and vines. But as the human stepped closer, a soft glow leaked out from the cracks. His hands tightened on his weapon, his heart thundering in his chest. Every step felt like he was moving toward the unknown, toward something he was not ready to see. The alien canines surrounded him, their golden eyes glowing like torches in the night, pushing him forward. He wanted to turn back, to run, but the memory of the glowing mark on his chest burned like fire. There was no escape now. The leader canine stepped inside first. Her glowing fur brushed against the walls of the cave as she disappeared into the shadows. The others waited outside, their growls soft but commanding. The human swallowed hard, tightened his grip on his weapon, and stepped into the darkness. The air inside was warmer, carrying a strange smell. Not dangerous, but unfamiliar, like burning leaves mixed with honey. As he walked deeper, the glow grew stronger. At first, he thought it was from crystals embedded in the walls, but then he saw movement. Tiny shapes stirred in the glow, shifting, stretching, squeaking in high-pitched voices. His eyes widened as he realized what he was looking at. 4 small creatures huddled together on a soft bed of moss. They looked like miniature versions of the leader canine, but their fur shone with strange patterns of blue and silver light. Their eyes, though still young, glowed faintly with golden fire. The puppies. For a long moment, the human stood frozen, unable to breathe, unable to think. His weapon lowered without him realizing. The puppies turned their glowing eyes toward him. Then, something happened that sent chills down his spine. They rushed forward, not to the leader, not to the warmth of the cave, but to him. Their tiny paws stumbled, their squeaks echoed, and in seconds, they pressed against his legs, their glowing bodies wrapping around him like he was the only safe place in the universe. The humans staggered back, but they clung tighter. Their eyes shone brighter, their fur glowing as if reacting to his presence. He shook his head, fear flooding him. No, this isn't real. This can't be real." His voice cracked, his throat tight. He wanted to push them away, but his hands shook, refusing to touch them. The leader canine stepped closer, her golden eyes watching calmly. "Now you see. They know you. They feel your blood. You are their father." The human's chest glowed again, the mark pulsing stronger than before. It throbbed in rhythm with the puppy's glow, like they were connected by some invisible thread. He pressed his hand against his chest, trying to smother the light, but it only grew brighter the more he resisted. His breathing grew heavy, his mind spinning. One of the puppies let out a soft whimper, then climbed onto his boot. It looked up at him with eyes so pure, so innocent, that his heart twisted painfully. Against his will, against his fear, he crouched down slowly. The moment his hand hovered near them, the puppies pressed against it, nuzzling his skin like they had known him forever. Warmth surged through his fingers, spreading up his arm, filling his chest until it felt like his heart would burst. He gasped, jerking his hand back, but the warmth stayed, the bond stayed. "This is wrong," he whispered. "I didn't ask for this. I don't want this." His voice broke, but even as he said the words, his eyes couldn't leave the puppies. The leader lowered her head. "It does not matter what you want. They are yours. Their life is tied to yours. Without you, they will not survive." Her words hit him like a blade. He looked down at the glowing creatures clinging to his boots, their small voices calling softly, their trust placed fully in him. A storm of emotions crashed inside him: fear, anger, denial, but also something else. A small spark of responsibility, of connection, a feeling he didn't want but could not shake. He stood up sharply, forcing himself to break eye contact. "No," he said firmly, though his voice trembled. "This is not my problem. I don't care what kind of prophecy or bond you believe in. I'm leaving." The leader's eyes darkened, but she did not move. Instead, the cave walls seemed to respond. The puppies cried out, their glow dimming as he stepped back. The mark on his chest flickered weakly, and pain stabbed through him, sharp and sudden. He clutched his chest, falling to one knee. The puppies whimpered louder, their cries echoing off the stone walls. The canine's voice was steady, cold with truth. "You cannot leave. If you abandon them, they will die. And when they die, the bond will tear your heart apart. You will die too." His eyes widened in horror, sweat dripping from his forehead. He stared at the puppies, at their glowing fur, their innocent eyes, their desperate cries. He wanted to scream, to deny, but the pain in his chest made it clear. The bond was real. He was trapped. One of the puppies crawled closer, pressing against his knee, its tiny body trembling. He felt its warmth seep through him, calming the pain slightly. His eyes burned with frustration, anger, and something he couldn't name. He pushed the puppy gently back toward the others, but it returned, refusing to leave him. The leader watched silently, her calmness more terrifying than violence. Finally, she spoke, her voice like a command written in stone. "You are bound now. Deny it if you wish, but your blood, your soul, and your life belong to them." The human sat on the cave floor, breathing heavily, his weapon forgotten beside him. The puppies climbed onto his lap, glowing brighter as if celebrating their victory. He stared at them, his hands hovering in the air, torn between pushing them away and pulling them closer. His mind screamed to run, but his heart had already betrayed him. The cave grew silent except for the soft sounds of the puppies. The human closed his eyes, fighting the storm inside. He had come here thinking he was alone, a survivor, a stranger in this world. But now, with 4 glowing creatures clinging to him, he realized his life was no longer his own. And the worst part was, deep inside, a part of him didn't want to let go. The human sat in silence, the puppies curled against him, their glowing fur warming his lap. He still couldn't believe this was happening. His chest burned where the strange mark pulsed, reminding him again and again that this was real, no matter how much he wanted to deny it. The leader canine stood at the entrance of the cave, her golden eyes fixed on the forest outside. She was listening, her ears twitching at sounds he could not hear. The human thought the night was quiet, but her body grew tense, and the fur along her back rose like a warning. Suddenly, the puppies whimpered and pressed closer against him. He frowned, his heart tightening. "What's happening?" he asked, his voice low. The leader turned her head slightly toward him. "They are here. Who's here?" His grip tightened on his weapon, his eyes darting to the shadows. Before she could answer, the night outside exploded with sound. Sharp whistles cut through the trees, followed by the crash of heavy footsteps. Strange lights danced between the branches, moving fast, circling the cave like predators ready to strike. The puppies cried louder, glowing brighter as if their fear was spilling into the air. The human stood quickly, his heart pounding. Figures appeared at the edge of the clearing. Tall, armored beings with silver masks and weapons that hummed with deadly energy. Their movements were fast and precise, too well trained to be wandering beasts. These were hunters. The leader canine growled, her teeth flashing in the pale moonlight. "They have come for the children." The human's stomach dropped. He had seen hunters before on alien battlefields, merciless, cold, and cruel. They did not come for survival. They came for trophies, for power, for profit. And now they had come for the puppies. One of the hunters raised a long spear-like weapon that glowed at the tip. His voice, filtered through the mask, was sharp and cruel. "Step aside, beast. The prophecy pups belong to us." The human's blood ran cold. Prophecy. That word again. He looked at the puppies clinging to his legs, their glowing eyes looking up at him with fear and trust. He didn't know anything about prophecies, didn't even believe in them, but one thing he understood: these hunters would kill the creatures without hesitation. The leader canine barked loudly, her voice echoing through the trees. The pack outside answered with growls, surrounding the hunters, but the hunters didn't flinch. They moved forward, their glowing weapons aimed at the cave. The human raised his weapon, his hands shaking. He knew he was outnumbered, and his bullets were nothing against energy shields and advanced armor. Still, his body moved before his mind could stop it. He stepped in front of the puppies, his chest burning brighter as if the mark itself was pulling him into this fight. "Stay behind me," he muttered, though the puppies could not understand. Still, they clung tighter. The hunters charged. The cave shook as energy blasts hit the walls, scattering sparks and dust. The leader leapt forward, her massive body colliding with the first hunter. Her jaws closed on his arm, ripping the weapon away, but another hunter struck her with a glowing blade, forcing her back. The pack outside howled and attacked, but the hunters fought with deadly skill, cutting through the defenses like fire through dry wood. The human fired his weapon, bullets sparking against armor. One shot hit a hunter's mask, cracking it, and the figure fell with a scream. The others turned on him instantly. Energy blasts tore through the cave, burning the walls, making the puppies shriek in terror. He rolled to the side, grabbing one of the glowing spears from a fallen hunter. The weapon vibrated in his hands, strange and heavy, but the moment he gripped it, the mark on his chest pulsed stronger. The spear glowed brighter than before, reacting to him. The hunters froze for a split second, shock flickering in their movements. One hissed, "It's true. The bond is real." The human didn't understand, but he didn't have time to question. The hunters came at him, and he fought with desperation. The spear moved almost on its own, guided by the strange warmth of the bond. Each strike cut through alien armor, each swing faster than he thought possible. The puppies glowed brighter with every move he made, their tiny voices crying out as if giving him strength. Still, there were too many. The leader canine was wounded, blood staining her glowing fur, but she refused to fall. She tore into another hunter, her teeth crushing bone and steel alike. The human's muscles screamed with exhaustion, but the bond kept him moving, kept him alive. One hunter managed to break past him, rushing toward the puppies. The human saw the blade lift, ready to strike. His heart exploded with fear. Without thinking, he threw himself forward, tackling the hunter to the ground. The blade cut across his arm, pain searing like fire, but he didn't stop. He slammed the glowing spear into the hunter's chest, the energy burning through armor and flesh. The hunter collapsed, dead. Breathing hard, the human stumbled back, clutching his bleeding arm. The puppies whimpered, crawling onto him, glowing brighter as if trying to heal him. The warmth from them spread into his wound, dulling the pain, closing the cut faster than his eyes could believe. He gasped, staring at the tiny creatures in awe. They were more than alive. They had power. The surviving hunters fell back, growling in frustration. One of them shouted, "This is not over. The prophecy will be fulfilled. The pups will be ours." Then, with a burst of light, they vanished into the shadows of the forest, retreating but leaving behind the stench of blood and fear. The human collapsed against the cave wall, his chest rising and falling like a drum. His arm throbbed with dull pain, but the puppies pressed against him, glowing until the ache faded. He stared at them, his heart torn between fear and something deeper. He had just fought for them, risked his life for them. Why? He didn't understand, but the truth clawed at him. Whether he liked it or not, he was bound to them now. The leader limped forward, her fur stained with blood. She lowered her head, her golden eyes meeting his. "Now you know," she said weakly. "They will never stop coming. The hunters will not rest until the children are taken. Only you can protect them." The human's hands shook as he looked at the puppies snuggling against him. He wanted to deny it again, wanted to scream that this wasn't his fight. But deep inside, as the glowing mark pulsed stronger than ever, he already knew the truth. He was part of this now. and the war for these tiny lives had only just begun. The human woke with a start, his body aching from the night before. His arm still bore the faint scar from the hunter's blade, though the puppies had healed most of it with their strange glow. He looked down and saw them curled beside him, their tiny bodies pressed against his chest and legs as if afraid he might disappear. For a moment, he simply stared at them. They looked peaceful, innocent, yet he could not forget the blood and screams from last night. These small creatures carried a danger far greater than their size, because the world wanted them, and he was caught in the middle. The leader canine limped toward him, her golden eyes calm but filled with weight. Her wound from the battle was still raw, though she did not show pain. She sat before him and spoke in her low, steady voice. "You fought for them. You could have run, but you stayed. Now you understand." The human shook his head slowly, his face hard. "Understand what? That I'm trapped? That your prophecy has chained me to a future I never wanted?" His voice carried bitterness, but also confusion. The leader's ears twitched. "Not trapped, chosen." He laughed sharply, though it sounded hollow in the cave. "I didn't choose anything. I never wanted this. I didn't ask to be anyone's father, least of all theirs." His eyes flicked down at the puppies, and his voice softened despite himself. "They don't even know what they're asking from me." The puppies stirred at the sound of his voice, climbing up onto his lap. One licked his wounded arm, another rested its glowing head against his chest, and the mark pulsed in response. The human froze, staring at them, his heart twisting painfully. Every time he tried to push them away, they pulled him back. The leader canine lowered her head closer. "They do not ask. They only live. And because of you, they live. Without you, they will not survive. The hunters will come again, stronger, more ruthless. They will not stop until the prophecy is broken or fulfilled." The human clenched his fists, anger building in his chest. "And what prophecy is that? Everyone keeps throwing the word at me, but no one tells me what it means." The leader's eyes burned with fire. "The prophecy says that when the blood of two worlds unites, a new force will rise, a force that will decide the fate of both our kinds. You, human, are that union, and these children are the proof." The words crashed into him like thunder. He staggered to his feet, pacing the cave with restless energy. "No, that's insane. I'm not a savior. I'm not a hero. I'm just a man trying to survive. I didn't ask to be part of your war." His voice cracked at the last word, the weight pressing on him too much. The leader watched him quietly, letting his anger spill out. At last, she said, "You can run, but wherever you go, the bond will follow. Their lives are tied to yours. If you abandon them, they die, and you die with them." Her words silenced him. His shoulders sagged, his hands trembling as he leaned against the wall. He wanted to shout, to deny it again, but deep inside, he knew it was true. He had felt the bond too strongly, had seen the way their glow linked to the mark on his chest. One of the puppies stumbled forward clumsily, its glowing paws slipping on the stone. It looked up at him with wide golden eyes and whimpered softly. The sound pierced his heart. Despite his anger, despite his fear, he knelt down and scooped the small creature into his arms. Its warmth spread through him instantly, calming the storm inside. He sat back down, holding the puppy against his chest. The others quickly crawled onto him, nuzzling and glowing until he was surrounded by their tiny bodies. His throat tightened, his eyes stung. He whispered without meaning to, "Why me? Out of everyone in this galaxy, why me?" The leader's voice softened. "Because you are human. Your kind carries a strength even you do not see. Where others bend or break, you endure. That is why you were chosen." The human's mind raced. He remembered the battles he had fought, the times he had survived when others fell, the stubbornness that had always pushed him forward. Maybe she was right, or maybe this was all madness. But as the puppies pressed against him, their glow healing not just his wounds, but his heart, he felt something shift inside. Later that night, he stepped out of the cave. The forest was quiet again, but the silence felt heavy. He looked at the sky, the strange stars of this alien world, and wondered what his life would have been if he had never walked this path. Behind him, the puppies whined, missing his warmth already. The sound pulled him back inside, like invisible chains tied to his heart. He sat with them again, feeding them bits of dried rations from his pack. They chewed clumsily, glowing brighter with every bite. He almost smiled, but the weight of reality returned quickly. He knew the hunters would not stop. He knew this peace was only temporary. The leader canine watched quietly as he stroked the smallest puppy's glowing fur. Her voice was steady when she spoke. You must train with them, learn their powers. They are young now, but soon they will grow. Only with you will they understand their strength. Only with you will they be safe. He looked up at her, eyes filled with exhaustion. And if I refuse? Her silence was louder than words. Finally, she said, then you doom them. And yourself. The human let out a long, shaky breath. He wanted to scream, to fight, to tear the glowing mark from his chest. But as the puppies cuddled closer, their tiny hearts beating against him, his anger drained away. They had no choice. They had no power over their fate. And somehow, without asking, they had made him their protector. He closed his eyes and leaned back against the cave wall, surrounded by their glow. For the first time, he didn't push them away. His hands rested gently on their small bodies, and his voice dropped to a whisper. Fine. I'll stay. But if we're doing this, I'll make sure no one takes you from me. The mark on his chest pulsed warmly, almost like an answer. The puppies purred in soft unison, their glow filling the cave with light. In that moment, the human realized something terrifying. He was no longer just surviving for himself. His life now belonged to them, and he would fight the galaxy itself if he had to. The next days passed in uneasy silence. The human stayed in the cave with the puppies, feeding them, watching them grow stronger. Their glowing fur seemed brighter each morning, and sometimes when they played, sparks of strange energy filled the air, like lightning trapped in small bodies. He began to understand what the leader canine meant about their powers. They were not ordinary creatures. They carried something alive inside them, something that frightened him, even as it amazed him. The bond between him and the puppies grew deeper. Whenever he tried to leave the cave for too long, his chest burned and the puppies cried until he returned. When he touched them, the pain eased. He was their anchor, and they were his. No matter how much he tried to deny it, he was connected to them now. One evening, as he prepared a fire near the cave mouth, a shadow fell across the trees. The leader canine appeared, her wounds healing slowly, but her eyes sharp. She watched him in silence for a long moment before speaking. They will come again, stronger than before. You must be ready. The human clenched his fists. I know, he said quietly. But what can I do? I'm just one man. They have armies, weapons, ships. I can't fight that. Her golden eyes glowed faintly in the firelight. You are not alone. You have them. She tilted her head toward the puppies. And you have us, but you must choose, human. When they come, will you fight for them, or will you run? His chest tightened. He wanted to say he would fight. He wanted to believe he had the strength. But deep inside, doubt gnawed at him. Could one man truly stand against hunters, armies, maybe entire worlds? He didn't answer. That night, when he finally closed his eyes, sleep didn't bring peace. Instead, it brought visions. He saw the hunters returning, their weapons burning, their laughter echoing as they dragged the puppies away. He felt the bond tearing inside him, his chest exploding with pain as the puppies cried his name. He woke with a gasp, sweat dripping down his face, his hands clutching the glowing mark that burned like fire. The puppies rushed to him, whimpering, their glow soothing his pain. He looked at them and whispered, I won't let it happen. I swear. The very next day, his promise was tested. It began with a low rumble, the sound of machines moving through the forest. The ground shook, the trees shivered, and the puppies hid under him, trembling. The leader canine growled, stepping outside the cave. She sniffed the air and bared her teeth. They are here. Before the human could respond, beams of light cut through the trees. Hunters appeared again, but this time they were not alone. Behind them marched armored soldiers, carrying banners marked with symbols he didn't recognize. At their center walked a tall figure draped in black armor, a mask shaped like a skull, eyes burning red. His presence made the forest grow silent, as if even the wind feared him. The human felt his blood run cold. Whoever this was, he was no ordinary hunter. He was a commander. The commander's voice was deep and calm, but it carried the weight of death. Human, he said, his red eyes locking on him. You have something that belongs to us. Give me the puppies, and I will let you live. The human's jaw tightened. He stepped in front of the puppies, gripping the glowing spear he had taken in the last battle. They're not yours, and I'm not giving them up. The commander tilted his head, almost amused. Do you know what you're protecting? Do you know what these creatures are? They are weapons, human. Weapons born from prophecy. They will destroy worlds. They will destroy you too. Hand them over, and you will be free of this curse. The words struck deep, planting doubt in his heart. He looked back at the puppies. They stared up at him with glowing golden eyes, innocent and trusting. Could they really become weapons? Could they truly bring destruction like the commander said? His chest burned again, the mark pulsing wildly. He dropped to one knee, clutching it as if his heart was tearing apart. The puppies cried and ran to him, pressing their glowing bodies against his chest, calming the fire inside. His eyes widened. He felt their warmth, their bond, their love. They weren't weapons. They weren't curses. They were life. And they had chosen him. He stood again, his grip firm on the spear. You're wrong, he said, his voice steady now. They're not yours. They're not weapons. They're mine. And if you want them, you'll have to go through me. The commander's red eyes narrowed. He raised his hand, and his soldiers surged forward. Energy blasts lit up the forest. Fire spread through the trees, and the air filled with smoke and screams. The leader canine leapt into the fight, tearing through soldiers with fury, while the pack attacked from the shadows. The human charged, the glowing spear humming with power. Every strike he made was guided by the bond, every move stronger than before. The puppies glowed brighter, their tiny voices echoing in his chest like a heartbeat, giving him strength he never knew he had. He fought like a storm, cutting through soldier after soldier, but the commander remained still, watching. Finally, the commander moved. He drew a massive blade crackling with red energy and swung it with terrifying speed. The human barely blocked the strike, the force sending him crashing against a tree. Pain shot through his body, but he refused to fall. He pushed himself back up, his chest glowing brighter than ever, the puppies crying out as if calling him forward. The commander attacked again, his blade slashing, each strike faster and heavier than the last. Sparks flew as the spear clashed with the blade, the sound echoing like thunder. The human's arms trembled, his body weak, but the mark burned hotter, the puppy's glow brighter, until he felt a surge of strength explode inside him. With a roar, he struck back, the spear cutting through the commander's armor and sending him stumbling. The forest fell silent for a heartbeat as the commander looked down at the glowing wound on his chest. His red eyes narrowed in fury. This is not over, he growled. Then, with a burst of light, he vanished, his soldiers disappearing with him. The human collapsed to his knees, gasping for air. The puppies rushed to him, pressing their glowing bodies against his wounds, their warmth filling him with life again. He looked at them, his chest rising and falling, and whispered, I almost believed him. I almost thought you were weapons. His voice shook, but his eyes were firm. But you're not. You're mine, and I'll never let anyone take you. The leader canine limped to his side, her golden eyes filled with pride. You have chosen, she said softly. The human held the puppies close, their glow surrounding him like a shield. For the first time, he felt no denial, no doubt. He knew the truth. The bond was real, and his choice was final. Whatever war was coming, he would fight it, not for prophecy, not for fate, but for them. The forest was quiet again, but the silence carried no peace. The human sat near the fire, his body aching, his chest still glowing faintly from the fight with the commander. The puppies lay close to him, their tiny bodies pressed against his side, their glow soft but steady. He stared into the flames, his mind heavy with everything that had happened. He knew this was not the end. The hunters, the soldiers, the commander, they would return. And next time, they would bring even greater force. The leader canine stood nearby, her golden eyes watching him. She seemed both proud and worried. At last, she spoke. You understand now. There is no running from this. The world will come for them, and only you stand in the way. The human rubbed his face with his hands. He wanted to deny it one last time, to say he was only a man, but the words would not come. He looked at the puppies, glowing in their sleep, their tiny breaths steady, their trust in him unshaken. He felt the weight of that trust, heavier than any weapon he had ever carried. I don't know if I can do this, he admitted softly. I'm just one person. How can I fight against all of them? The leader stepped closer, lowering her head until her eyes met his. Because you are human. Your kind is not the strongest, not the fastest, not the most powerful, but you endure. You rise when others fall. That is why the bond chose you. Her words sank into him, stirring something deep inside. He remembered the battles he had survived, the pain he had endured, the stubbornness that had carried him through impossible odds. Maybe she was right. Maybe endurance was his greatest strength. The night passed slowly, the fire burning low. When the first light of dawn touched the cave, the human stood. He looked out at the forest, at the rising sun, and felt a strange calm settle over him. The puppies woke and rushed to his legs, glowing brighter as if they sensed his decision. He crouched down, stroking their soft fur. "I'll protect you," he whispered. "No matter what it costs. You're mine now." The mark on his chest pulsed warmly, stronger than ever before, as if sealing his promise. But peace did not last long. Later that day, the forest shook again, not with hunters, but with something far worse. Massive machines crashed through the trees, their heavy steps crushing the ground. Flying ships hovered above, their engines roaring, casting shadows over the land. At their center was the commander, his black armor repaired, his red eyes burning with fury. He had returned, and this time he had brought an army. The human's heart pounded, but he did not back down. He stood at the cave entrance, spear in hand, the puppies behind him, glowing like stars. The leader Canine stood at his side, her pack gathering around them, ready to fight. The commander's voice boomed through the forest. "This is your last chance, human. Give me the prophecy pups, and I will spare you. Refuse, and you and your beasts will be destroyed." The human raised the glowing spear, his chest burning with light. His voice carried across the clearing, strong and steady. "Come and try." The battle began like a storm. Energy blasts tore through the forest, trees collapsing, the ground splitting from explosions. The human charged into the chaos, the spear guiding him with power he could not explain. Every strike cut through armor, every move faster than his body should allow. The puppies cried out behind him, their glow feeding his strength, their bond fueling his rage. The leader Canine leapt at soldiers, her pack tearing into the enemy with fury. But the numbers were endless. The human fought with everything he had, sweat and blood mixing on his skin. Yet still they came. The commander moved forward at last, his massive blade crackling with red energy. He struck with deadly speed, each blow shaking the earth. The human met him head-on, their weapons clashing again and again, sparks flying like fire. Pain tore through the human's body, but he did not stop. He could not. The puppies cried louder, their glow blinding, their small bodies trembling with fear. Suddenly, their glow burst outward, surrounding the human in a shield of light. The commander's blade slammed against it. But the light held. The bond had awakened fully, and its power was no longer just his. It was theirs together. With a roar, the human pushed forward, the spear burning brighter than the sun. He struck through the commander's chest, the light piercing the black armor, cutting through the red glow in his eyes. The commander let out a scream that shook the forest, then collapsed to the ground, lifeless. The remaining soldiers froze, fear in their eyes. Without their leader, their courage broke. They fled into the trees, leaving their dead behind. The machines and ships pulled back, vanishing into the distance. The battle was over. The human fell to his knees, gasping for breath, his body shaking with exhaustion. The puppies rushed to him, pressing against his wounds, their glow soothing his pain. He looked at them, his chest rising and falling, his eyes filled with something new, pride. The leader Canine limped to his side, her golden eyes shining with respect. "It is done. You have chosen your path. You are not just their protector now. You are their hope and ours." The human looked at the puppies curled in his arms, their glow soft and warm. He thought about everything he had lost, everything he had fought for, and realized something he had never believed before. He was no longer alone. His life had meaning again, not for himself, but for them. He stood slowly, the puppies climbing onto his shoulders, their tiny paws gripping him as their glow lit the forest. He looked at the horizon, where the sun broke through the clouds, and spoke in a voice steady and sure. "Let them come. Let the whole galaxy come. I'll protect them, always." The mark on his chest glowed brighter than ever, a beacon of the bond that tied them together. The leader Canine raised her head and howled into the dawn, her pack joining her, their voices filling the sky. And in that moment, the human knew that his story had only just begun.